Now we will do section 4.8, the third part B. It is subtracting positive mixed numbers. Now, the idea is actually very similar to what we have seen when we did the part A, adding positive mixed numbers. For example, let's say we have 5/6 minus 1/1/2. Now, when we add or subtract fractions, we need LCD. When we add or subtract mixed number, we also need XCD. So the next line will look like the LCD is 6 here, 5/6 minus 3/6. That's equals to. Now you see, as you expect, we can subtract the fraction, the whole number here with the whole number there, and then the fraction here with the fraction there. That's 2/6. Okay, we are done with the subtraction here. Now the next step I will do is simply to make it look nicer, because we can simplify the fractional part there. Okay. Now that's the first example. Notice that when I did the subtraction here, not only the whole number part should be enough to pay that whole number part there, the fractional part has to be enough to pay for that one also. Now let's see the situation in which the fractional part is not enough. Let's say if I have 24 1/3 minus 13 maybe 3/4. The first thing we do, of course, to find the LCD and adjust the fractional parts. The LCD here is 12, right? And then we adjust the numerator. This will be multiplied by 4, so on the top is 4. This one I multiply by 3, so on the top is 9. Now we see that we will subtract that direction, right? 24 subtracting by 13, but unfortunately the fractional part here, 4/12, is not enough to pay for that 9/12. So here I will do what we call borrowing. Okay, when I do borrowing, pay attention to the little detail here. When I borrow, this is what happened. The 24, maybe I'll write it aside. The 24 4/12, if I borrow 1 from that 24, it becomes 23, and the one I borrow, I stick that together with the fractional part, and then I change that mixed number there into improper fractions, which is 1 times 12 plus 4, that's 16/12. Okay, that's 23 16/12 minus 13 9/12. Now you see that after this borrowing process, the whole number is enough to pay for that whole number. The fractional part here is enough to pay for that fractional part. We can continue with subtracting them. That's it, 10 7/12. Now let's look back into the borrowing process. We can do this faster. In other words, when you do in the test, you actually don't need to write this down anymore. Okay, but let's see how this is being done. How this is done. When you borrow 1 from the 24, it becomes 23, and we always only borrow 1. We never borrow 2 or 3. Borrow 1 at a time. Okay, now because I borrow only 1, and later on I need to multiply by the denominator, then I add with the numerator, then this 16 is basically the sum of the numerator and denominator there. Do you realize that? Okay. Therefore, later on, when we do the borrowing process, we don't need to write this down anymore. We see, oh, 24 now becomes 23 because I borrow 1. And the 1 that I borrow, when it dissolves with the fractions, we get 16 over 12. You see, the denominator 12 stay the same. The 16 actually comes from 4 plus 12. Okay? Now, let's do one more example. This time, let's use a larger number. For example, if I have 49 2 over 7 minus, let's say, 24 4 over 5. Now this is then, I do the LCD first, as always. 49 something over 35, that's the LCD, minus 24 something over 35. When I adjust the numerator, this is 10 and this is 28. Now then, because the fractional part is not enough to pay for that one, well, I will subtract that way, remember? Okay, then I do the borrowing. The borrowing now becomes 48 because I borrow 1, right? And then here, what happened? The denominator stay the same. The numerator will be the sum of these two, right? Which is 45. Minus 24, 28 over 35. Okay, that's the crucial part. Anything after this, I think everybody can do. 48 minus 24 is 24. 45 minus 28, I think that's 17 over 35. Okay? Now, one last question. I think this question, one last example. I think this one is quite simple. Suppose if I have 15 minus 12 1/3, let's say. Okay? I don't have fractional part to pay for that one. So I create my own fractional part by borrowing 14 3 over 3. You can think of this 15 here as if you have 15 0 over 3. You can see that way. Okay, minus 12 1/3. That then become 2 2/3. Okay, now you may ask Thomas, why we need to make it 3? Well, if you have a choice of denominators, which denominator you use? Of course, there's only one denominator here, 3, right? That's why we use 0 over 3, and therefore becomes 3 over 3. Now the following example, I think is extremely easy for us. Let's say I have 17 2 over 5 minus 9. I hope you can see why this is simple. Well, because I have fractional part, but I don't have any fractional part that I need to pay, right? So simply subtracting 17 by 9, which is 8. How about the 2/5? Well, 2/5 minus nothing. That will be 2/5 itself. Okay? That's for this subtracting positive mixed numbers.